please feel free to have as much pizza as you want.
Yes, okay.
All right, we want to get started? Ready? All right, thank you, everyone. You know, I really appreciate everyone being out tonight. I know it's really cold out there. I was like, I hope people don't think it's too cold to come out. But I do appreciate you being here. We hope that this is the first of many family events that the district is going to begin to do. And really, I think partnering with families is an important part of our mission. I hope, again, that this is the first of many. And so I want to welcome everyone to our Office of Student Support Services Family Night. I want to ground us first and foremost with our strategic priorities from the district and some of the things that we are really focused in on to support student learning, which is our target strategic priorities for deeper learning, high quality curriculum instruction, equity, inclusion, and well-being, community support, and student performance. So the primary reason that we wanted to do an Office of Student Support night is really to talk about the Office of Student Support. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, but primarily what we really wanted to do is to show that the Office of Student Support Services is more than just special education. There's a lot of different things that we do. There's a lot of resources that we provide. There's a lot of services that we can provide to families to support students across the continuum. So tonight is really about highlighting some of those services. We have some fabulous staff members that have joined me tonight to talk a little bit about those services. And we also have some fabulous families from the CPAC that we are, rolling out again and making sure that we rebuild to really support our students in district. So for me, for some of you who don't know me, I've been in special education for a very long time. I've been an executive director of special ed in the Cambridge Public Schools. I worked as interim at Framingham for the last year prior to coming here. But I'm very excited to be here in Mendon-Upton. My experience so far has been tremendous. The staff members have been welcoming. The students are amazing. The families have been awesome as well. So it really, I'm really humbled to have this opportunity to really be here, support the district, and bring some of the experiences in special education and student services that I have to Mendon. So my vision for our department is really to provide equitable accesses to student services and supports across the district for all families. And so, it's going to take a lot of work to really get there. But when I mean to say equity, I'm really talking about really providing students what they need. Providing students what they need is not sort of, creating a box and sticking them in there. It's really about thinking creatively, thinking innovatively, and really kind of figuring out how do we best support the student. And so that's really, what I'm really about. I'm really a student-centered leader. I focus on the needs of the students first and how I can support the families in getting the kids to what they need. I'm not going to go through my list of beliefs and values, but primarily I really do value partnership with parents and families, because I think that, there's no time to sort of be in contention with each other. It's really about figuring out how to work collaboratively for the best, outcomes and supports and services for the students. So that's primarily one of my goals and objectives as I'm here in the district and moving forward. Speaking of goals, some of my short-term goals is really doing a deep dive into the district student services, trying to figure out what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what are our areas of potential risk, and how do we mitigate that, and how do we sort of develop a strategic plan moving forward. I'm really focused on, working collaboratively with staff members as well and district members, because again, it's like they said, it takes a village. We need to work as a team. We can't work in silos. We really need to support each other so we can sort of all row in the same direction. So part of that is meeting with parents, meeting with district staff members, really understanding, the community, so I can get a real good sense of Mendon-Upton and the values and beliefs that the community holds. From this information gathering, my goal is to analyze the data, summarize those key findings, and really develop some recommendations and strategic priorities moving forward for our department. Long-term goals, I really hope to develop a unified department that works collaboratively to provide equitable services and supports to students across the district. I want to develop a comprehensive continuum of service that students can access and utilize effectively in order to access their education and achieve their full potential. Developing strong partnerships with families to eliminate barriers that prevent us from working collaboratively towards student success, again, is a #1 priority as well. And special education is part of student service. So it's really about, programming that makes sense, programming that and structures and processes that are in compliance, that are effective, that are evidence-based, and what's best for students. And finally, it's really about building the capacity of staff members, providing that professional development, being transparent, working with families, helping to educate families on student services as well. So, I hope that what you will hear and what you will see tonight is, the first steps in that journey to really sort of begin that process of bringing us back together and developing a special education and student service supports, systems, and structures that make sense for all students. So, what do student support services do? Well, we do a lot, believe it or not. This is just a few of some of the things that support services are involved with. We're involved with intervention. A lot of our related service providers and our special education teachers are part of that MTSS system and provide services to make sure that, we meet kids where they're at, and we don't want to label students if we don't have to. Of course, we provide special education services. We also have 504 accommodations. And I can't speak enough about our counseling services. We have a lot of students. We see more and more every day students coming to school with social emotional issues and concerns. And we have a great department of counselors that are working really hard. And you will hear from some of those counselors tonight about what they do. We also are involved with home hospital tutoring for kids who might be hospitalized. We also provide transition supports for students that are coming back from those hospital stays. And so, it really is about community resources and our connections and making sure that we support you in providing the services you need for your child. And lastly, the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, although it's supposed to be run by the parents and it's going to be run by the parents, we support that. We support that solely, and I'm going to be there to walk them through every step and support them in that endeavor to provide that support to families. And we're going to listen to families. We're going to listen to the advisory group. We're going to listen to what input they have for our students and our services and how we implement those plans. All right. So with that said, I'd like to call Lauren. She is our team chair at MISCO. and she's going to talk a little bit about special education.
Are you standing here to do
services.
that or are you doing that?
If you want to stand up,
I'm gonna stand over here.
All right. She doesn't like the podium.
Okay, I normally sit at a table. Anyways, I'm Laura Kopernicki. I'm the team chair at Misco Hill. I'm going to review different types of educational support plans or support plans for students. So the first one is an IEP. It's known as an individualized education plan. It's a process. It's reviewed once a year. Students are evaluated and eligibility is determined based on specific needs. Provides individualized, specially designed instruction and related services to meet students' needs in specific disability categories. There's an eligibility determination, which oh my gosh, I lost my place. Sorry. Which happens every at the initial process as well as every 3 years, and at that time we identify if there's a disability. And we talk about if the disability is impacting educational progress and what services we can provide through specially designed instruction. The plan also includes a list of accommodations as well as services. The team of the IEP team includes students, parents, general education teachers, anyone who can interpret evaluation results, as well as a representative from the district. Like I said, these are reviewed once a year and every 3 years for eligibility. Let's go to the next one. An 504 accommodation plan is very different than an IEP. The main difference is it's an accommodations plan based on a disability area. It does not include specifically specially designed instruction, but it does is legally binding document, and it's identified for students that have specific impairments relating to different disability categories, which impact their access to different parts of their school day, such as learning, working, reading, walking tasks. Like the 504 team, or the IEP team rather, it does include parents, students, general ed, and special ed student and counselors. Sorry, I'm so nervous.
Good.
Go ahead to the next one. Go to the next slide. A healthcare plan is designed to address medical conditions, does not impact student learning per se. So these might be students that have diabetes, students that require medical care throughout their day, and outlines what we need to do during the day to support those needs. That's it.
All right. Thank you. So I think that the key takeaway here is that students with disabilities don't just have one avenue, which is the IEP. They have multiple avenues. It really depends on what they need, whether they need specialized instruction, which is having the IEP, or just 504 accommodations, or a health plan because they can't impact their education at all. So those are the different ways that we support students with disabilities. So next we have, what do we have? Oh, Nikki.
Right.
Nikki is, Emma, are you coming up with Nikki? Or?
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So Nikki and Emma, they're going to talk about therapeutic supports.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Oh, can I do this? I'm sorry. Yeah, that'd be good. So you'll hear about different levels of supports that are offered throughout our district. So you have your tier 1, tier 2 supports. Those are going to be for social emotional. That's going to be things that can be done in the classroom or with the school guidance counselor. Tier 3 is really where Emma and I step in, and I know you have a beautiful flow chart that you'll show in your slide. But that's when Emma and I really step in. After we've kind of exhausted all of the tier 1, tier 2 options, what else can we do to support your student? So I'm at the elementary school and in Mendon-Upton. And 3 years ago when I started, we started off as kind of like a therapeutic hybrid model where it was, you know, a group of kids that we identified as the school that they were having a hard time showing up, paying attention, and really just tending to their day. They were spending a lot of time in the office or in the guidance counselor's space, and really there wasn't much school happening just because the services weren't there for them. Fast forward, our room came along. I work with my co-teacher, who I cannot say no good things about. She's the special education teacher for our model, and her and I together are able to run this therapeutic model of care.
which is focused on, like I mentioned, emotional regulation, coping strategies, and helping students access learning across their day. The goal is to help them learn to self-monitor, regulate, develop skills that will allow them to attend to their education. That's done through different ways. It could be counseling with me, it could be once a week, it could be twice a week. It really depends on the student's needs. Like Frank had mentioned, there's not this like, oh, I'm going to do this intervention and that's going to be what fixes everything. There's no one size fits all. So it really depends on the student's needs. I run therapeutic skill groups with the students with evidence-based curriculum, whether it's the zones of regulation or different CBT groups, just to help them practice the skills, right? Because even in elementary school, it's a little scary practicing this stuff in the real world, like in school with their peers. They don't want to look different. And I think something really great that Aaron and I have been able to do is we've provided a space that not just our kids that work with us want to come in, they're all like knocking at the door, like, can we come take a break with you or can we come see you? We will never say no. So we've really tried to provide a space that all students feel welcome. We don't want to put a label on your child. We don't want them to look different. We don't want them to look like, oh, they need, you know, that these two like older middle-aged women to help them throughout the day. Like we're their people and we're there for all the students equally. But the best part, I would say, of this role, as Frank had mentioned, is collaborating with the families. If we do not have a relationship with the families, with counselors that they see in the community, psychiatrists, there's nothing, right? They need to feel like we have their backs, and you guys deserve that also. So that's really a great part of what we get to do. That's done through obviously email, you know, the phone calls, but we set up bi-weekly care team meetings where we can check in. And it's really a great time for us to keep posted on how are things going? How are the interventions? Are you struggling at home? What can we help you with? That's what we're here for, and that's what we love to do. Next slide, sorry. So the way that students, like I mentioned, can come into working with the Aaron and Nikki package is through obviously going through those tier 1, tier 2 supports and just finding like nothing's working. But there are also some students where there might have been a traumatic event that happened. The student was coming to school, everything was great, but you know, there was a death in the family or a separation, or it could be, you know, a pet passed away. I mean, everybody internalizes things differently, and we are not there to label if this was traumatic enough to work with us. We base it off of the presentation of your student. Currently, which is really exciting, we are exploring a partnership with Bright, which Emma will talk about, which is beautiful because Bright, which you'll learn more about in a second, is being facilitated in our middle school and our high school. So it's a really nice golden thread to make sure that your student is getting this continuity of services, and they're going to get their needs met, and it's going to be consistent with best practices in mind. Our long-term goal is always to empower the students with age-appropriate emotional coping skills. That can look very different with a preschooler, a kindergartner, or a 4th grader. And we've done a nice job at setting up the room so it feels inviting to them, and they can access different skills and strategies in that space. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Lucky you, 2 slides. Sorry, I'm going to inundate you with slides.
I'm going to move through.
Yeah, sure, why not?
It's just the arrow.
Yes. Go right ahead. So my name is Emma Steiner. I'm the Bridge Clinical Coordinator and School Adjustment Counselor at Eastfield Hill. I'm part of a team of 4. We have 2 counselors and 2 adjustment counselors. And like Nikki said, we are part of the kind of tier 3 support and intervention. At MURSD, Bridge programs partner with the Bright Modeling team, as Nikki mentioned, to support students who have experienced a mental health disruption during their school experience. In the middle school, that looks a little bit different than it does at the elementary school, based on need and development. Right? Our services include academic support to better support reintegration to school. We have counseling, we have groups, we have coping strategies, teaching. We do family outreach as often as needed. I can talk to parents every day. I can talk to parents once every couple of weeks on the phone and email, like whatever it needs to be to make that connection strong to do that work. And then also case management. Our goals are to support students' academic transition back to mainstream classes in a really manageable way while continuing to support their mental health challenges so that they have a stepping stone from their outside of school care to their school-based team of providers. So there's lots of data to support that Bright, in partnership with Bridge, and the effectiveness of this program. Please note that the psychiatric hospitalizations, unfortunately, for adolescents is up 300% since 2000. But with Bright supported interventions and models, rehospitalizations only occur at a rate of approximately 11% versus a national average of 50%. Bright interventions also show a 50% decrease in undesirable coping mechanisms, such as substance abuse or self-harm, which unfortunately we do see a lot of even in our middle school. So what is Bridge? Bridge is a short-term intervention support for students who return to school after being hospitalized for mental health reasons. They return to school following a significant medical injury that might have them out for 2 or 3 months, or those considered absent at school due to mental health concerns, those kiddos who are always in hall with a nurse with this. The program is not for students who are absent due to common illness, vacations, or truancy. Sorry. So I'm a visual person, so this is what our space looks like right now in 119. It is staffed by myself and the wonderful Mrs. Patel as an academic support staff. And we are having the time of our life. Great. Bridge is open to general and special education students who are in the program. So here's our lovely triangle tier 3 model that Nikki was referencing. So for those familiar with MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of supports, it's considered a tier 3 program. We're the highest level of supported intervention at school. The core and more as I put here, which is why I included it, because I kind of like the visual. So we are always in addition to the supports that your child is already receiving in the school district. To go a little deeper into students selection, sorry, one too many. Oh, did I lose some? Okay. Is there one after this? Here, there we go. A little out of order, pardon me. So top priority students are those kids, like I said, who are returning after intensive mental health treatment. So psychiatric hospitalization, CBAT, partial hospitalization, therapeutic residential stays for those who need that level of care, but who are awaiting treatment. So the Riverside folks you met outside today, oftentimes we're partnering with them, either because there's a need in school or because they've already met with the family and have referred them to a longer stay program, but then they return to school. So we are that kind of home base for kiddos when they come back. The second kind of level is for students who have not been hospitalized, but who have been unable to attend school for 5 or more days in the last couple weeks, and whose function in school has only been about 50% of the time that they've been there. And then again, we have those kiddos who are returning to school who have had some kind of medical treatment, concussion, or other serious physical ailment that they need that kind of clinical and academic support. These are the 4 tenets of most Bright models. To have that care coordination, connecting with outside partnerships in the community that support those kids and those families, the academic support, the clinical support, and then very much key is the family relationship and family support. So our nuts and bolts, the systematic nuts and bolts of the referral process is that once a school counselor notifies myself and my administration that a student is eligible, I will invite you guys, the family, in to meet with us, discuss the program, and come up with an individualized plan. Please note this is voluntary and not mandated. We have had students refuse to participate before. I can't make a kid want to come work with me, as kind as we are, as wonderful as we are, right? We can't force participation, but when they're with us, they will benefit from assignment assistance, studying, counseling, learning coping strategies, any of the number of things we've already mentioned today. Please note, one more back. Please note that Bridge is not an IEP-based service. It's an intervention offered only after. So it is for everybody who needs it, based on those qualifying criteria. And then there's, go ahead, please. Is there one after this? No. Nope. Okay. That might be the end of my time. So kiddos who graduate, if you want to try to swing back to the alumni status slide, sorry. Here we go. This is fun. So students graduate from Bridge when they are sufficiently caught up on their missed work. They're able to regularly attend school and classes, and they're able to manage their emotions and behavior safely and effectively. And that can look different in terms of a timeline for every single kid. Kids might start with us for a couple days. They might start slowly reintegrating back to class for 1 to 3 weeks, and then they might continue with our support for another 6 to 8 weeks. And at the middle school level, I think average is like 8 to 12 weeks that they're in a Bridge supported program. But again, it depends on need and what's going on with each of our kiddos. There is no typical, which is why it's so key that we have the resources and the personnel that we do in those areas, because I can drop everything and be what your child needs. Any questions or thoughts on that? And feel free to catch me afterwards as well. Yes,
I just want to say, I have older children now, but my oldest son, when he was in 5th grade, was hospitalized for illness for about 3 weeks, and then they took long-term rehab after he was in 5th grade. Integrating back to Misco back then was very, very difficult. Hearing you talk, he would have benefited from something like that. He couldn't sit in the cafeteria because it was loud, spending it in. So academics failed, and he still gets anxious about, so hearing what you have to offer now, it sounds wonderful.
awesome. Thank you so much. And then behind you.
I was just gonna ask, you guys are at club.
I'm at Cliff. She's at
I'm at
Misco.
Misco.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get that
Now,
clear.
at Memorial, is there a team that, or do kids from Memorial come to club, or how does that work?
Great question. I'm looking at the principal. I'm like, help me.
No, we're
We're building base.
we are building base. We're consulting a lot. We're trying to get our faces in as many places as we can be. Because you're right, it is definitely needed.
And how long have you guys been being awesome?
Wow. No. I've been year 3.
You're
Yeah.
being awesome.
Yeah.
I'm year 2,
Yeah.
but it's not my first kind of role. I've done this kind of work for 14 years. So
Alicia, I will say we've had really great positive relationship with the program over at Club. They've come in and done some consulting with us on a few kiddos over the past 2 years. So it is, while it's at Club,
Right.
there is that consultation between both schools.
And that's really the great part about this district, right? I mean, I graduated from Nipmuc, and even looking at the towns now, I'm like, wow, we got big. Like, what happened? We're getting fancy, but there's such great communication. And I will say, since Frank has come along, he has been encouraging so much, and it has just been so refreshing. And we're all so motivated to just make it happen. So if there's a student that needs help, we're going to help.
yes.
I know you mentioned for the referral process that typically a school guidance counselor would kind of bring the student to y'all's attention.
Yes.
If for some reason, whatever the case was, that didn't happen, but a family knew about your services from the community involvement, would they be able to ask the administration for a referral for their kiddo?
So I would say, great question, thank you.
That is
I
a
would
good
say
question.
that I would encourage you still to reach out to, again, that tiers of support.
Right.
Your guidance counselor or your counselor is kind of your primary level of support in a school building. We would really want them to have that information as well, to be able to support your family. And then it just happened today, actually. I got notified in email that somebody was needing a different level of support and would be out for a certain period of time. So I work with that counselor to get that information to support them until that time that the student is coming back. And then I will start my outreach to the different programs and hear the discharge information, etc. So it is definitely still something that we want you using your school-based people first, because we're an intervention. I'm not there to replace the wonderful people in the district who support your kid. You know, I am there to be an additional support. And then once they are supported and feeling more comfortable in their school day, I'm going to hand them back and then move on to the next project.
And that's how we really see them succeed. It's like going to outpatient services. It's almost like you talk termination at the beginning. It feels weird, but we want them to like be a part of what we're doing, but we don't want them to necessarily need us to survive the daily stuff, because that's not healthy for them either.
No. It's our job to teach them skills, make sure that they're not just dropped off at the door, right? And then also ease their transition back and ease them away from needing us as a level of support as well. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have one of our community partners, Tanya, who's going to come up and talk about, I always forget the name of this, interface.
Hi, I'm Tanya Snyder. I'm from Interface Referral Service. How many people have heard about interface referrals? Okay, good. Fair number. So Interface Referral Service is the quick and skinny, but I'm going to go through the slides, is we're a helpline, not a hotline. And our goal is to match consumer of outpatient needs with providers of outpatient services. In this district, we have a contract to serve the students in both Mendon and Upton. So our goal is to connect them with, it could be neuropsych testing, individual therapy, medication management, group services, I'm probably missing stuff, individual therapy, family therapy, in which they're involved in that service as well. And again, there may be services that I'm not talking about. Sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. I always say we're part of William James College. People will, how many people have heard of William James College? Oh, good, fair number two. This is William James College, which is why many people have never heard of it. It's a graduate school for professional psychology, so it doesn't look like your traditional kind of campus. It's located in Newton, Mass, and that's where the call center is located as well. Our goal, again, is to match you with a provider that accepts your insurance. So we're not providing the service ourselves. We're just doing an intake to get you connected with services. The people answering our phone, I should be clear about this because, you know, there's other services out there, are all clinically trained. Most of us have our master's degree in the field, and many of our staff are also, like myself, licensed in the field or license eligible. So you're talking to someone who has clinical training and practice often under their belt. Again, they're not providing the clinical services, but that changes sort of what they're listening for, how they're listening, and then the ability to make a good match with an outpatient mental health provider. We're looking for someone who fits your schedule, and we do have a database of over 10,000 licensed and vetted providers. Also, core to our model is that we do not charge providers to be part of our database. That is purposeful. We don't want there to be any kind of like muckiness around, you know, needing to take a certain number of cases or feeling like they invested a certain amount of money they need to recoup back. We really want them to accept a case because they feel like it will be a good fit for their practice, right? Not for any other extraneous reasons. It also allows us to remove people from our database. People are sometimes able to keep licenses after what I would deem to be pretty egregious things that happen, or there's a lot of negative reports from callers. So maybe they still have their license, but we just don't feel comfortable continuing to refer to them, so we can exclude them from our database. We don't do that willy-nilly. We have conversations and all that stuff. Oh, I'm going completely in the wrong direction. We've been around a long time. So we've been in existence for over 22 years. We started in 2003. Our former executive director was located in Newton, worked in the public school system, got a grant because she said there was lots of silos and it was really complicated to connect families to outpatient mental health services. It was successful. She got more grant money, moved from Newton into Waltham. Then she got scooped up by William James College to run the Friedman Center. And she said, I will come, but I'm taking my baby with me, the baby meaning Interface. And we've been there ever since. That was about 2006. And we continue to build community by community. So our service is free to the caller. So the district contracted on behalf of the students so their families can utilize the service for them. But when the callers call us, there's no fee to use our service while that contract is in place. Again, our goal is to connect with providers who take your insurance. Or if you don't want to use your insurance, most of us do, and it's expensive. But if you didn't want to use your insurance, we also can make matches with providers who offer self-pay. And we talk about what the fee is workable for your family. Let's see. We base our matches on the needs expressed when people call us during that intake process, the insurance, any kind of specialty they're looking for, meaning, you know, you want someone who treats anxiety, you want someone who can do CBT or DBT. and availability, as well as any kind of preferences. Sometimes you may have, you know, I feel strongly that I want a female provider. I feel strongly I want a social worker. So we're looking to match on all those criteria. I already talked about where we're located on them. Again, we have clinically informed support and dedicated staff. This is Andrea, actually. So if you call and you get Andrea, that's her. She speaks Spanish as well as English. So if there's Spanish speaking referrals, she often will work on those. This is a little quote, so I'm not going to read it to you. But I do think it is, we have a long longevity with our staff too. Oftentimes you hear about in our field, there's a lot of turnover. We have, you know, we take pride in our staffing. Most of them, I've been there 10 years now. There's other people who've been there almost since the inception. And then the last person was at least over a year. So, and we're all small, mighty team too, all located here. We're about 15 staff total all around. So it's not just a list, it's matched referrals. Again, I talked about that database. We update that database daily because we interact with the providers. So they'll give us information like, I'm no longer taking that insurance, or I no longer have this availability, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And we put notes into that provider profile and update the whole team in real time. We also allow the providers to update their own profiles. Often, like myself, we're not all that tech savvy, so sometimes we'll just call our outreach person and say, can you update my profile? And we'll take care of that too. And we're always bringing new people into our database as well. So we have a whole team that, you know, scours for new providers to add to the database too, so that we can meet all the various needs that may arise as people call us. Let's see, our whole model from, you know, start to finish is about 3 hours worth of time. What that means is we do that 20-minute intake. After the 20-minute intake, you're assigned a confidential code as the caller. The next business day or two, your case is assigned to another member of our team. The reason why it may be another member of the team, if you think about the 8 o'clock hour before people go to work might be popping. My 11 o'clock hour on the line might be a little slower. I get no calls. The 8 o'clock gets many calls. So we just dole them out accordingly to, with the team, to keep it equitable and fair. And also because our staff have a variety of experiences and backgrounds in the field. So for myself, I spent a lot of time working with adults and juveniles who were involved in correctional settings or DYS. Another member of the team spent a lot of time working with people who were struggling with eating disorders. Another worked with elders. So sometimes we'll dole those cases out also accordingly to like skill set and interest as well. That person then goes to that database of over 10,000 licensed and vetted providers, starts seeking possible matches, usually about a handful to start, reaches out to those providers, presenting a snapshot of your case, meaning sort of what's going on, what's the age, what are you looking for, what kind of insurance do you have, what's your availability. That's all de-identified though, never with any of your confidential information in there. That's purposeful because you all have connections we might not know about, right? When the provider comes back and says, this is a good match for me, we reach out back to the caller. In this case, it would be a parent, or if you needed the support from the school staff, it could be a school staff supporting you in that process. We reach back out to you to provide you with the provider's information and contact information. And then about a week or so after that, we do follow up. So we follow up to ensure you were able to connect with that provider. And we like to follow up after an initial session as well to make sure that not only did you connect, but it was a good fit. So our whole process from start to finish generally takes about 30 days. So we aim to do the intake in 20 minutes, the match in about 2 weeks. We're often much faster. And then the 2 weeks of follow-up time. So start to finish, we hope that you're connected in about 30 days. Again, these are the characteristics that we're looking to match you on based on the information we obtained during the intake process. This is how you can connect with us outside in the hallway. There are flyers. I I went really fast because there's a lot of people talking tonight. But on the back of the flyer, what I love about it is it walks through all the different steps that happen. So I was really fast, but you can walk away with this and it'll be something you can carry with you to reference. On our website, we have our service and hours of operation and our service areas. I mentioned we contract by community. We serve over 35 communities throughout the state. So you may have other family members or friends you're thinking about. We may be able to serve them as part of other contracts we have. We also have a really lovely, it's not on here, but I have pens out there and stickers out there with QR codes that lead to a resource library. That resource library is about mental health topics across the lifespan, which can be really helpful. This is our helpline. I mentioned we're a helpline, not a hotline. So if you're in crisis, we're not the best first step. We're gonna have, I'm sure, other people talk about crisis. But we certainly, if someone calls us in crisis during our operating hours, we help connect to crisis when needed. But we're a longer term connection plan. So we all are also good if you're stepping down from a hospital situation and needing outpatient care. We just require you to be close to that process and have a discharge date because the matches we're going to make aren't holding spots. So if you can't, react quickly enough to book those appointments, it just gets stuck. So we just ask that you're a little closer. And that is us. So you're not alone. Give us a call. We're happy to help connect your family and your children with outpatient mental health services. We hope we can be a help to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
Excuse me, how long has Interface been with the district?
Last year is our first year, so I'm going to jump in. I think they're wonderful, they're amazing, and they've been one of our, in my opinion, top supporting kind of resources we can provide families with. The turnaround time is great. And I feel like as a team chair, I can provide an actual resource that is effective in what the child needs. So I think they're wonderful.
Yeah, I learned about them this year and I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We know that there's such a
The need.
that it takes such a long time to get services when you're trying to do it alone. And just to have this, this partnership, it's a really great service. I wanted to make sure that everyone knew about it.
Yes.
All right. So last but not least, we have some parents that are going to come up and talk about CPAC. We have Nicole, Sharon, and Alicia.
So if you're a parent, can you raise your hand? I'm trying to get a sense of like how many parents are here. So I recognize a lot of staff members, but anyways, hi everyone, my name is Alicia. I'm a parent of a 6th grader at Misco, but we've been in the district since Miss Monroe's first year of preschool, when she was 3, so it's been a while. And Frank asked me to talk tonight because I've been involved in a couple of different CPAC boards over the years. We've kind of had some form and then fall apart and form and fall apart again. And we're looking to get things back up and running. And we connected recently, but it sounds like there's parents in the district that want to get involved in CPAC. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that means, what it has meant, and what it could mean in the future. And I apologize for the ridiculous stock images that I put in there. I plucked one and then I just kept going. So what's a CPAC? So it stands for Special Education Parent Advisory Council. It starts with an interested group of parents and guardians dedicated to improving special ed in our district. Every public school district is required to have one. And then as Frank pointed out earlier, it's actually parent run and parent led. So we need parents for it to exist. State law assigns both an advisory and participatory function of the CPAC. And actually this is the state law around what a CPAC is meant to do. Advising the district on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities, meeting regularly with school officials, that's district staff as well as school committee, in the planning, development, and evaluation of the school district's special education program. So no big deal, right? Yay! So how do you get involved? I think, is this our QR code that's on the sheet, on the table?
No, it's
No.
on the doors, they're all over the place.
Okay, so that's our QR code and that's a really long link, but if you want to type it in, you can. But so we, Nicole set up a sign up form. And it comes to us. It doesn't go back to Frank. What's your email, what district or what school is your kid in, and like how involved do you want to be? Do you want to join the email list and just get updates? Do you want to be on the board? Do you want to, because we kind of have to get a sense of who wants to do what. A typical board, it kind of runs like a PTO to some extent. Like there's a board that we vote in members. Fire CPACs and art district have had 2 co-chairs and 2 co-secretaries. Some CPACs and other districts will have like a treasurer if you establish a 501c organization and you need someone to manage the money. But it's really whatever we want it to be. So these are some positions, but we can create others or new ones if need be. I know other CPACs and other towns will have like a school liaison. So there's one parent whose job is to be like the primary communicator with the principal at Memorial or Misco to represent CPAC interests. So we're busy, right? Parents, we have kids. Yeah. But the more people that are involved in CPAC, the more parents, the more that we can accomplish. And speaking from my participation in the past, it's so hard to do it even as 1, 2, or 3 parents. It would be amazing if we had 10, 15, like a good core group. And they exist because there's like some 300 some odd families in the district with kids that are served by special education. So we're out there. We just have to get people to join up and help. So what do we do? Where do we start? So these are just some ideas I put down, but when a board is formed, this could all change and we could change our minds and go in a different direction. But at a base level, we have to have a first meeting where we vote in a new board and start to work on bylaws and agree on what are the reasonable goals that as a group that we can accomplish this year, next year. We have to reestablish parent communication channels. We had a Facebook page that's stagnant. We had an email list that's outdated. We need to get all that back up and running. And then once we have a board, then you vote in bylaws, which are the rules for operation, the guidelines for how the group works. And then hopefully host our first meeting with district leadership. And then MassPAC is so has everybody heard of the Federation for Children with Special Needs? So it's a statewide, you can look it up, but it's an amazing resource if you have kids. It's awesome. Just go and read some articles, but they have a group called MassPAC that districts usually cover the cost of CPACs being a member of MassPAC, and it becomes an amazing resource for CPAC members in running the group and answering questions that may come up like, hey, we are having some trouble communicating with our school committee and we're hitting a wall. Do you have any advice on how we can like get past this? And let's just look at one example. And what's next? So if things go well, these are just some examples of things that CPAC could do. Parent surveys to help drive discussions with leadership around policies and procedures. A new website. CPAC has a page on the district website, but wouldn't it be great if we had our own website where we can add events and et cetera. Collaboration with the PTOs to run family fun nights and engagement opportunities for families. Advocacy at the town level for inclusive programming and offerings for our kids. I recently found out this year that Upton doesn't have a disability commission at the town, which was kind of like, what? So to have a strong CPAC of parents that can work with the district and in the wider community to advocate for kids with disabilities would be amazing. I set up 501c for fundraising efforts, et cetera.
So look at the information, if you're interested in learning more, they have a CPAC toolkit on their website. That's basically like a how-to guide for starting a CPAC. They run programs throughout the year. They do a summer school over the summer months for CPAC board members to, you know, basically advise on how to run things and be more effective. They do an Apple Institute, which is like community members, teachers, district leaders, and CPAC coming together to learn like how do we work together better. And looking at some neighboring towns to see what they've done has been a good form of inspiration in the past in terms of how to like run things effectively and what is possible. Thank you, Deborah.
You're a great leader.
I'm nervous too. Any questions? Do the QR code. Sharing your email address is kind of a first step.
Are we able to share it out to like the general community, the people that didn't participate in this, the QR code? I just feel like we can like thrill share it to our special ed,
Of course, yeah.
like distribution list.
Yep. Nicole made a flyer. Maybe we can put it in the principal newsletter.
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, the flyers are all around. You look at the doors, the walls, there's some out in the hall. Feel free to snap a picture and
Joy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the CPAC, in my experience, a lot of times CPACs struggle because, you know, their voices sometimes aren't heard. And sometimes there's not a lot of direction and support. I've worked with several CPACs over the last couple of years, and we've had very strong participation because they're part of the decision-making process. They contribute. I give them tasks. I say, hey, go take a look at this. I'm thinking about this. Could you give me some feedback? And it's important. It's important to get buy-in from parents just as much as it's important to get buy-in from other community members as well. So I can promise you as a Director of Student Support Services, if you join the CPAC, your voice will not be ignored. So even if it's just going to the meetings and just listening, you just showing up, I think is half the battle. So yeah, definitely check that out. So that is our conclusion for our family night. If anyone has any questions that you'd like to throw out there, I'm sure I can stay a little bit and sort of answer that for you. Otherwise, I thank everyone for coming. There's plenty of pizza if you want to stick around and eat. And thank you so much.